Hello and welcome to the best of Hindsight Tonight. I'm Damian Muziani, and here is this week's theme. Enjoy. Leading off, after weeks and weeks of embarrassingly failed predictions about the Taliban and the USA's departure from Afghanistan, President Joe Biden is apparently finally learning how to distract Americans properly. It was just last month when Biden assured us that a Taliban Afghan takeover was, and I quote, highly unlikely. And of course, just 3 weeks later, Kabul airport turned into some kind of Ramadan Kool-Aid acid test. He also said that the removal of U.S. personnel would look nothing like Saigon in 1975. Well, it's not totally like it. And then he assured us that U.S. armed forces would be safely taken out of Afghanistan by August 31st. Well, that only came true if you also counted the ones who safely left in a pine box, Joe. But that was so 72 hours ago. Biden won back Americans with just 2 words. Ninja bomb. He ordered the bomb in 2 separate attacks on ISIS operatives who were planning to bomb Kabul airport, and in one swift Antony Blinken of an eye, the R-9X appeared. A bomb that causes no explosion, no scorched earth. It's just a 100-pound steel dildo that hones in on targets at 1,000 miles per hour with pinpoint accuracy while spinning 6 giant swords around and slices the bad guys in half like in that ridiculous ghost ship movie. Forget the smart bomb. This is like the Bobby Fischer of bombs. Just a couple of weeks ago, we patted President Biden on the back for authorizing a ninja bomb strike on a car full of terrorists, supposedly on their way to blow up Kabul airport in Afghanistan. Well, an explosion happened anyway, but it was the New York Times that lit the fuse. Turns out that it wasn't terrorists that we killed with that Hellfire missile at all. It was an innocent Afghan aid worker and 7 children. They were simply trying to escape the deadly clutches of the Taliban and ran into the deadly klutzes of the U.S. military. Honest mistake, though, right? Just because the local man's white sedan looked nothing like the typical car bombs that ISIS have been using for years now, and the suspected bomb itself turned out to be a harmless jug of spring water. Sheesh, lucky there's no deer park planned in the Middle East. You could just paint a bullseye on the roof. It gets better, worse. The CIA warned the Pentagon that there were kids in the car, but they blew it up anyway, and the Biden administration apparently knew the truth but didn't admit it for 18 days until the Times ran their story. It's official. President Joe Biden will agree with anything you put in front of him. In a Christmas Eve holiday call with children and parents, Biden was ambushed when a father said, "Let's go Brandon," conservative code for F. Joe Biden. These audio ambushes have been a reality for Americans ever since Baba Booey became the most heard phrase in televised golf. But it was Biden's response that was amazing.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
It takes a brave man to say, go F himself to himself. Democrat supporters have responded with assertions that Biden knew immediately he was being had and brushed it off, or simply didn't care. Still, it's a little scary. If he agrees to F himself, what if Putin calls him one day and says, "I think you should push that red button on your desk"?
I agree.
Lobbyists meet with him and say, "Joe, we got to spend $3 trillion on roads."
I agree.
Kamala Harris walks in the Oval Office and says, "I think I'm going to change up this wallpaper."
I agree.
If you still think Biden and Trump are headed for a 2024 rematch, just don't. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time with more of the best of Hindsight Tonight.